Welcome to Chapter 3 of this section, Emergency Savings Funds. After you have 1 to 2 months of savings set aside for your daily expenses, it's time to start building an emergency savings fund. An emergency savings fund is cash reserved to pay for unexpected expenses. Any financial issues without an emergency savings fund can set you back years because of the debt incurred. There are three main reasons why you need an emergency savings fund. First, when you have money saved in an emergency fund, you don't have to go into credit card debt for a minor financial issue. For example, if your car breaks down, you won't need to borrow money to pay for repairs. Sometimes borrowing money means taking on high interest debt in the form of payday loans. I like to call payday loans legal loan sharks because they charge insanely high interest rates. Borrowing $500 could mean you have to pay back $2,500 in a year. The second thing is that you won't need to sell your investments. Compounding is the most rewarding financial concept. When you sell your investments, you're losing out on the long-term benefits of keeping your money working for you. The third reason is having an emergency fund reduces stress levels. Stress is related to a lot of health issues. Avoiding health issues can save you thousands and extend your life. How much you should keep on an emergency fund really depends on the stability of your income. If your income isn't stable, then you need a bigger fund. Having 3 to 12 months of savings is ideal because it'll give you enough time to recover from something like a job loss, and it'll give you time to find another income stream. Accumulating an emergency savings fund takes some time, but it's worth it when you consider the benefits. It'll allow you to reach your financial goals more smoothly. Here are some easy steps you can take when you're trying to build an emergency savings fund. Use a separate bank account from the one for your day-to-day expenses. It's easier to spend money when it's easily accessible in your regular checking account. Break your goal down into smaller goals. For example, if you wanted to save $2,000, $20 a day for 100 days would work really well if that's what you can afford. Automate as much as you can, decrease expenses and increase income, and review your budget regularly to make sure you're not overspending on anything unintentionally. When you don't have an emergency savings fund, a job loss or medical emergency makes the present and the future a lot more difficult financially. Having a 3 to 12-month emergency fund could be one of the best stress relievers of your life. When building an emergency fund, make sure you calculate your monthly expenses based only on the necessary expenses like mortgage or rent, property tax, utilities and maintenance, food, insurance, transportation, and miscellaneous personal expenses. Anything else can be accounted for if you want, but in the case of an emergency fund, it may be easier to cut out wants and have your funds last as long as possible. These savings should be considered a short-term goal. A portion of this money should be immediately accessible. Keeping your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account could work pretty well, as long as you can transfer the money to your checking account pretty quickly in the case of an emergency. I like to recommend keeping your emergency savings fund in a high-yield savings account as long as you can access the money within a day or two. If withdrawing it would take more time, you could put yourself in a position where you won't be able to use your emergency savings fund to pay for an emergency.